25 years today since the Maastricht Treaty came into effect. To its critics, it was giving up national sovereignty. To its supporters, it was a force for peace in a continent once divided. Building on the foundations of the European community, it paved the way for joint currency and freedom of movement. But a quarter of a century later, Brian Carter reports on the cracks appearing across the Union.
The early 1990s were a milestone for European integration. The end of the Cold War especially marked a turning point in history, after which the 12 European member states of the time decided to push the European project to a new level. To this end, in February 1992, they signed the Maastricht Treaty. It entered into force on November 1st, 1993, 25 years ago exactly, and transformed the then called European communities into the European Union.
The member states of the prosperous European communities needed to go further than a simple economic cooperation. The cooperation should have also other levels.
The Maastricht Treaty set the stage for the birth of the euro a decade later and increased the political powers of the Union. It also created European citizenship, common foreign policy, and closer judicial cooperation. But the path to ratification was not an easy one. Referendums were held in several countries. In France, the yes won by a very thin margin. But in Denmark, the treaty was narrowly rejected, sending shockwaves throughout Europe.
This no to the referendum must make everybody think hard. But the Commission can only say that it fears that this will have no consequences.
The astonishment of Jacques Delors was widely shared by other policymakers across Europe.
For the first time, they realized that the enthusiasm that had led European negotiations prior to the Maastricht referenda wasn't necessarily shared by societies, by public opinion.
The reasons behind this rejection were diverse. For some, it was the fear of migration and the loss of national identity. For others, it was the economic model, which they accused of being too liberal and trampling on labor and social rights. The Maastricht Treaty also introduced the notion of budgetary limits based on national debts and national deficits, which was already criticized by many at the time.
There are many historical links between the Maastricht Treaty debates and today's ongoing debates. So the Maastricht Treaty was really a turning point for European integration. It was a milestone in European history, but it was also the moment in which Euroscepticism came out.
Eventually, amendments were made for Denmark, clearing the way for the adoption of the treaty and giving the EU a decisive boost. But as illustrated by Brexit, the rise of Euroscepticism, or the ongoing conflict between Rome and Brussels over budget, the issues that rocked the Maastricht ratification process are still very present today, a quarter century later.